Empire. Drew Brees gets another career milestone, but can this season end with an even bigger accomplishment? We're talking Drew Brees and his touchdown pass record with Amie Just of the Times Picayune. This is the Football Jones Podcast. What's up, everybody? It's Mike Jones. Read me at usatoday.com. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @ByMikeJones. And as I said, yes, I wanted to look back at Drew Brees' touchdown passing record that he set Monday night. And we're going to talk to Saints beat writer Amie Just of the Times Picayune and just kind of get a look into what that night was like, what goes into Drew Brees' effectiveness, and where he stands among the all-time great quarterbacks, and what the postseason could mean, what it could unfold and look like for the Saints. And so let's get to it right now. My visit with Amie Just of the Times Picayune. All right, here we are with Amie Just, one of the Saints beat writers. Amie, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So I wanted to talk to you about the Saints as they're coming off of that big win and, a historic night for Drew Brees. What was it like? What was the mood like, the atmosphere when he got that record?
So it was a little anticlimactic, actually, because he thought he had it earlier in the game. He connected with Tre'Quan Smith for what would have been the record-breaking touchdown, but Smith was called for offensive pass interference. Whether you agree with the call or not is up to you. But, yeah, so they were celebrating. The dome was going crazy. And then the ref comes on and says offensive pass interference, no touchdown. So the dome starts booing. Everybody's angry because, they had announced that over the intercom that he had broken the record on that touchdown, and then it comes back. So, but when it did happen, everybody was excited. Drew was excited again. I mean, he got to celebrate twice, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, no, even when you break records, got to do it twice.
Right. Exactly. After the game, obviously on the field, it's probably a special moment. After the game, what did you gather from the guys in the locker room, from Drew himself? Obviously, he knew where he was, in reach of, but I'm sure it still had to mean something to him.
Yeah, he's had a really long career, and he's done a lot of really impressive things. He broke 2 records on Monday. Single game passing or completion percentage, 96.7% if you round up, which is bananas. But whether this is true or not, he deflects a lot. Before the game even started, when he talked to us last Wednesday, he talked about how he knew it was coming, but we can't pay attention to that. But he did say, and I found this really interesting, that he prepares for everything. So he does all of his reps and all of that, and he practices for the stoppage of time for when he breaks records, which I found that really interesting because he doesn't want to get out of it mentally.
Okay.
So he can focus, going into it. He breaks the record, knows how to deal with that situation, and then can go back into playing the rest of the game.
Okay.
Which I thought, that's something I would never think about, right? Is that you have to mentally prepare yourself to move on after you do something that can be pretty emotional for people.
Right. Why do you think it is? I mean, obviously, he's one of the greats. He's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer, but it still feels like he's always kind of behind. When you talk about the great quarterbacks, he's not at the top of the list. There's Brady, there's Manning, there's you even talk about Aaron Rodgers or, but he kind of it seems like he still kind of gets overlooked.
I think that's a testament to just how good quarterbacks have been in the last 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
You can't talk about everybody.
Yeah.
Somebody gets left out. And whether it's right or not, it's true. But as Drew's career continues, no matter whether that only lasts 4 more games or 4 more years or who knows. I mean, the man looks great right now. But you have to think that he will – I don't know why he's getting looked over. I can't speak to that. But as his career continues, you have to look to him because he's breaking every single record. Like, he's only got a couple more that he can get, and he's on track to get 1 more by the end of the season, which is Brett Favre's attempts record, which not as much fanfare with that.
Right.
But still, that's another one.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's kind of the curse of being in this generation because obviously, if you don't get 6 rings, you're going to be like Brady. Other guys have multiples, maybe, who knows if he can get a multiple this year.
We'll find out, won't we?
Right. I wondered something with him being that injury that he had midway through, that he was out for a chunk of the season. Has that helped him? I was asked this the other day. Has that helped him remain fresh and kind of helped him be effective down the stretch here, you think?
I think that it's helped his mentality, right? So he had only missed 1 game due to injury in his entire career, and he's played for 19 years. I mean, he's going to be 41 years old less than a month from now. But being out for so long, kind of rekindled his love for the game. Not that he didn't love it before, but it just kind of showed him what he was missing out on, because this hadn't been an experience that he'd had being out for so long. I think it helped that they were winning as well, because you don't want to. That's a tough situation to be in. But he talked about how he wanted to get back, and being out for so long, I think, has just helped him in. He wants to win. This means a lot to him. And it just gave him a different perspective that he hadn't had in being away from the game for 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm. What are you expecting for them, their chances in the playoffs? Because obviously you've got Brees, who's great, although his numbers in the red zone aren't the most amazing. And their defense can look like, amazing 1 week and then look like they forget to show up another one. What's your feel of their capability?
Yeah, they've been a weird team, right? You've got games where they look unbeatable, like Monday against the Colts. I mean, they're just is a bloodbath. And then they lose to the Falcons, who at that point, maybe Dan Quinn was going to get fired after that game, right? Like, we don't know that now, but what happened there? It's just, so I don't know what to expect from them, because they play a really good game against the 49ers, but their defense gets torched.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect from them. I do know that a 3 seed probably won't end up well for them, just because that's 1 extra game, and then that's going on the road. And right now that could be Green Bay, depending on what happens this week, which if I was a professional football player living in Louisiana, I would not want to play a playoff game in Green Bay, Wisconsin in January.
Right.
I wouldn't want to do it. Are there a lot of Wisconsin guys on this roster? Yes. But not everybody from Wisconsin. So, yeah, that cold weather, man, that doesn't bode well. But it's still possible that the Saints can get a 1 or a 2 seed, which would be good for them, but they do need help right? They need the Vikings to beat the Packers this week, and they need the Seahawks to win the West. Mm-hmm. Not out of the realm of possibility, but yeah, I don't want to throw a prediction out there until things get set, because the NFC has been a bit of a roller coaster with its seeding.
Yeah, up and down. 1 week the 49ers are the top seed. The next week it's the Seahawks. Then it's back to the 49ers. Then it's back to the Seahawks. All this jostling, which makes for compelling football, and it's great, for the fan and for us and everything like that. Alvin Kamara, what's the deal with him? He has not been as potent as we're known for him to be. Is it because of the lack of Mark Ingram? Is it something else? What have you observed this year?
Yeah, so this is my first season covering them. So I only had a taste of it last year when I covered the NFC Championship game of all games to cover. Right. But yeah, his numbers are down. He did miss a couple games due to injury, and a lot of people have been, fans on Twitter and whatnot. What credence you want to put into that or anything? But like, Alvin's still hurt. Alvin missed Mark. And when we talked to Alvin in the locker room last week, he's like, miss Mark, but like, I'm okay. Like, I'm not sad. Like, somebody tweeted the picture from, I don't know what game it was, at him. It's like, you look sad. I'm not sad. Like, it'll come, is what Sean's saying, what Drew's saying, what he's saying. Sometimes there are just dips in games. And that's really the explanation that he gave. It's not that he's not trying. It's not that, he doesn't want to play anymore or anything crazy, conspiracy theories like that. Sometimes that happens. And I don't know if their defenses are game planning him more, whether, because at the beginning of the season, if you remember, he had this crazy, broken tackles streak or whatever, average. I don't remember what the number was. It was so long ago, but it led the league by a huge margin. And I don't know if defenses have been doing something to combat that, which in theory would result in less yards if you're breaking less tackles. So that's one potential theory. Right.
Yeah. What's the deal with the defense? So a lot of injuries, but what's their prospects for getting back to full strength by the time that the regular season ends?
Yeah, they're really hurt. But everybody is, right? That's not an excuse that you can have. Thankfully for the Saints, they're really deep at defensive line, which is good for them. Cam playing well, voted to his 4th or 5th Pro Bowl yesterday. Don't exactly remember, but it's a lot. And then you have Trey Hendrickson, who wasn't starting but has been playing a really key role, and now he's a starter with Marcus Davenport going on IR. But yeah, it's interesting having 2 linebackers out for a game. Not great. But AJ Klein came back last week. It was interesting though that Manti Te'o started last week there. Didn't see that coming, especially with, not full capacity, but getting closer. And then DBs, Von Bell, didn't play. No idea how long he's going to be out. But so the Saints didn't put him on IR, which is a good thing for thinking that he's going to come back, because the Saints picked up Janoris Jenkins off of waivers. Right. And put a rookie safety on IR as the corresponding move. So that's a good thing when you're thinking, oh, who's going to come back, and are they going to be able to come back from this? But yeah, man, it's pretty bleak. But again, they played without Vaughn against the Colts, and they look fine. Granted, completely different talent level in that game.
Yeah,
but
true. But I mean, at the same time, there weren't any open receivers. I mean, every time Jacoby Brissett was throwing the ball, I mean, guys were just blanketed. So if they're backups, obviously, like you said, they're not going against a bunch of Pro Bowl guys, but if their backups were able to play at that level, you would hope that bodes well for them once they get, if they can get healthy for this stretch run.
One thing I'm gonna pay attention to closely this week is the health of CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Okay.
He filled in for PJ Williams when PJ Williams was suspended, and then he filled in for Von Bell last week. CJ left the game with a concussion late in the game, so we'll see how much at all he practices this week. Again, concussions they differ person to person, all that stuff. But yeah, so that's something I'm going to be watching, just because he's one of their more versatile guys back there.
Gotcha. Back to Drew Brees. What kind of a sense do you guys get as far as his future? What he's got left motivationally wise? Will it depend on if they win a Super Bowl, or I know they're high on Teddy, but his contract is coming up. What sense, if any, have you gotten on Drew's future?
Well, he hated missing all that time, right? So I don't know. There are some days where you think, well, if they win a Super Bowl, maybe he'll hang it up. But since he missed so much time, is he ready? Does he want one more? I mean, based on how he looks like he could play for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, that was statistically one of the best games by an NFL quarterback in the league's history. Yeah. With when you look at how many touchdowns, how many yards, and the completion percentage. So, and he's 40, almost 41. So, yeah, I don't know. My personal plan is to stay here until he retires, and then I'll figure it out from there. But who knows when that could be, because everybody wants to go out on top. But if you're not ready, you're not ready.
Right.
And based on the way he looked yesterday, he could play for a while.
Gotcha. Now, Amie, you've covered. We went back to the Washington Post days, covered the Redskins. You've covered a lot of college sports. First year full time on the Saints beat. What has it been like, and what's one of the most interesting things you've learned about the Saints now that you're up close? Because you were covering LSU, so you were familiar with everything with the Saints, but being up close every single day, what's one thing that you've really learned about what makes them go, and just about that organization, the team, coaches?
Yeah, I didn't realize just how weird it is to have a starting quarterback and a head coach be together for so long. Like, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and whatever, but it's not normal. Like, we talk about it like it's normal, not normal.
Right.
And I think that's helped them in their success, is that there hasn't been a whole lot of movement there. The key pieces change around them, but it's been pretty stable. Now, they've had their ups and downs.
Right.
They've had their share of not so great seasons, but it's actually pretty cool to think about that they've been together for so long. They've been together at this franchise since I was in 6th grade. Like, that's a long time.
Not as long as when I was in 6th grade, but still, it's a long time.
So for the listeners, I'm 25. Yeah.
So do you hear that? What do you see about that unity, that cohesion that just suggests their special bond?
I mean, Sean trusts Drew, and that's it. Like, they've been together for so long. Like, that's an incredibly long relationship to have. And so over time, you build that trust, you build that rapport, you know them better than you know your spouse, almost, because they're together more than their families, right?
Exactly.
So, they know each other so well, and that showed when Drew was coming back from surgery, when he was going through his process. because Drew, I don't remember if that was in a radio interview that he did with the flagship station or if it was with us, but Drew said something to the effect of, when I'm ready, I'll tell Sean and I'll go. Like, that's just doesn't usually work that way.
Right. Yeah, good deal. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how the postseason plays out for them. I would love to see Drew Brees get one more ring at some point. It'd be great if it was this year or some point before he retires, but we'll see. But Amie, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, so I tweet everything I do, good and bad takes included, at Amie_Just. I spell my name a little weird, so it's at Amie, AMIE_JUST, like the word.
All right. And online, outside of Twitter?
Yes, online outside of Twitter for all of you smart people who don't engage with that. NOLA.com has everything New Orleans related, whether that's hurricanes and explosions and buildings falling down. But if you just want to read my Saints stuff, you can go to NOLA.com/sports/Saints.
There we go. All right, Amie, thanks so much. And hopefully I will see you down the road once we get to the playoffs.
I know, I haven't seen you in like 3-4 years.
I know. I haven't been able to get to New Orleans this season. I've been out west like 4 times, 5 times, and not to New Orleans. I keep on asking and get bumped off somewhere else. But hopefully postseason, I'll be there.
We will be reunited eventually.
That was my visit with Amie. It's going to be really interesting to see how things play out. I feel like the Saints have everything it takes to win a Super Bowl, but I just don't know. There's consistency issues there that kind of concern me when it comes to their defense. And earlier this week I did a story where I was talking about the reasons to believe in these playoff clinching teams and reasons to worry about them. And the kind of up and down ways of the defense is the big reason that I just kind of wonder about the Saints. I definitely think that Brees, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, if he's on, that they have what it takes offensively. We've seen they can score with the best of them, but can they stop them? But there's questions about every single team. The 49ers, my big question is about Jimmy Garoppolo. They've got the great defense. They've got some decent skill position players. We've seen improvement out of Garoppolo as this season has gone down the stretch. He's going to be tested this week when they face the Rams, and then they close out the season trying to lock up the division next week. But can he put this team on his back if he has to? That's a big question. When it comes to the Seahawks, no doubts about Russell Wilson, and their defense is playing well. My question is just about the skill position players around Russell Wilson. Yes, they can run the ball well. Losing Josh Gordon kind of hurts. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are good young receivers. Metcalf is still growing, but can they elevate their game further so that way, say Russell Wilson can't get that perfect pass, can somebody go get that ball? And their defense, if Russell Wilson's having an off day, can they bail him out? I think that they should be able to, but I don't know. When it comes to the AFC, the Patriots, obviously the big question, obviously you believe in them because of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and their resume. The questions, though, that offense, it is not the same. But down the stretch of the postseason, when Bill Belichick has time to game plan for each opponent that he probably will have seen a second time, will they be more effective? Possibly. I don't know. But that's the question that they've got to answer. When you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, it looks like they're hitting their stride right now. Patrick Mahomes is healthy again. He's reconnecting with Tyreek Hill. They had a big play connection for like 9 weeks or something like that. They can run the football. Their defense has been the question about them. but we're seeing them elevate their play. Their secondary is finally starting to have some cohesion. They added Terrell Suggs. It's going to be interesting to see what he does for them in their pass rush, because they've needed a stronger defensive front. Again, they've shown improvement as they've finally gotten comfortable with Steve Spagnuolo's system, but again, consistency. That's what you're looking for with them. When it comes to a team like the Buffalo Bills, no questions about their defense. They can play with anybody out there. But Josh Allen, that offense, they're not quite, potent enough to win a shootout if you're going against somebody that's got a special player like Lamar Jackson or a potent offense like the Chiefs. We'll see what happens Saturday. I'm really curious to see how they play against the Patriots in their rematch. They very well could have beaten them last time if Josh Allen didn't get hurt, but can they do it at a consistent level? And when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, probably my least amount of questions there. Of all the teams, they've got a very good defense. They've got an amazing offense because of Lamar Jackson, but he doesn't have a lot of experience in the postseason. So what happens when he faces Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, Bill Belichick and that defense really a second time? What will they game plan to take away from him? Can he, if he's forced to stay in the pocket, can he win with his arm? That's the question there. He's shown ability that even when defenses have a beat on what he's doing, he's got that escapability. So maybe he can negate that. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't know about you guys. Yes, there's a couple seeding things that have to be worked out, but I'm ready for the playoffs to start right now. I think it's going to be an exciting postseason. We just got to get through these next 2 weeks here, figure out who the other 4 teams are, because right now 8 teams have clinched. Figure out who else is going to be in the tournament, if you will, and then all the fireworks can start going. Well, I hope you guys have a great day. I will talk to you Monday morning. Again, read me at usatoday.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @ByMikeJones. And keep coming back to the Football Jones podcast.